Hi. Ooh. I've been watching Mark Passio, and he reiterates all the time, this is the time for the great work. There's so much going on that is misunderstood just because of the way things have been orchestrated for a long, long, long time. A little bit about me. I have been I've been on this journey for many, many years. Right now, I'm in Guatemala. I've been here pretty much for 3 years, except for um, South America twice, once for 7 months, and last year for almost 2 months in the Amazon doing. Part of the reason I went there last year was to participate in ayahuasca ceremonies, which I'll get to in another time. But before this trip, which started in December of 2015, I was in Colorado for 18 months. Prior to that, I was living at the Mother Moon Pagan Monastery and Herb Farm in Southern California. I moved there from Maui, Hawaii, which I had been living for 3 years. And I got to Hawaii after living in Iowa for almost 10 years. 8 of those years were in a small community, southwest Iowa, with about 1,000 people. The last year and a half in Iowa, I lived in Ames, which, again, I'll talk about these different aspects. And I'm getting at this, I'm talking about this because it's all relative to where I am now and how I have evolved and progressed in my understanding of natural law and how those are the principles that they're immutable and they that's what rules us. Natural law. We have been dictated and manipulated into believing we need governments and all these really unnatural unnatural states of human existence. We don't need, really, how many people out there really need to be told what's right and wrong, Pretty much, if you're not harming another human being, you're within your rights. And I get real passionate about that. I'm really learning how to work within those emotions and those feelings that come up inside of me when I know firsthand how these things go against our natural being and how just absolutely unnatural the state of society, state of humanity is now because of these forces against us, those that rule us are an absolute knowledge and understanding of how natural law works. And these dark, I hate to say that, but we are in a duality. This is part of it. These dark magicians are using this against us. They're, brainwashing, just, oh God, I don't want to get into that in such a high level. More what I want to get into is that we have the ability within us to change ourselves. First and foremost, we are the microcosm of this experience, and the macrocosm would be natural law, which governs us. Not the people sitting in offices with suits and ties and titles. Those are not the people that govern us. They are. But above them is natural law. And that's what's being manipulated within society so that it's kind of messed up. So again, getting back to like all my different experiences, like I was in Iowa, the last 18 months I was in Iowa. I was in Ames, Iowa, which is a college town with 7,600 people or 76,000 people. Anyway, I was really, really sick. Really, like I was really sick in a bad way. I just the year prior, I had a knee replacement. I had a terrible accident in 2007, which um, um, I landed up being evacuated to Council Bluffs from this little town in Iowa where I lived to have an emergency surgery. Anyway, it was really rough. It was really rough. Then I got my diagnosis. I'd been, suffering with my back for ages and ages and ages. And I finally got a diagnosis, which did get me disability, which is basically my Social Security, which I should get when I'm retired. But because I was kind of forced into retirement, that's what I'm drawing. So that's, that does, there's benefit. I am seeing Social Security. I always wondered when we were, we had our own business and dealing with the taxes and stuff, I always wondered, would I see the Social Security? Anyway, back on topic. The experience in Ames, like when I got to Ames, I was a mess. I was a total mess. Was going to Iowa City hospitals and clinics, and I finally got in there and and got to see the proper level of professionals and specialists to diagnose me. And when I first got there, like I said, I was a mess. And as I'm in this town, in this city, it's a college town. I was around a lot of youthful people, a lot of college kids, and I felt so much better being around them. I was very aware that I was getting energy from them, that I was being affected in essence through their higher vibrations and their analytical things. It prompted me to do something about about the state that I was in, and I realized that I could, and I just had to channel energy. I was just coming into understanding how these things were working. I was getting into tarot and astrology, and I'd been familiar with that in the past, but it kind of life happened, and I didn't have the time or whatever, or even the discipline actually to to get to know those things. But now at this time in my life I was able to, and it was like really like wow, how all these things just how I realized how they were all affecting, how the metaphysical aspect of our being is there's these natural laws that work within everything, and we are governed by that. So anyway, I got to see that in Ames, and then prior to living in Iowa, I grew up and lived in Las Vegas for 30 years, coming from a very small town outside of Vancouver, Canada, where my first 3 years were at a 2-room schoolhouse. And then in fourth and the bit of fifth grade that I attended there, I went to, I don't know, they called it something different. But it was like fourth grade through 8th or ninth grade. And then you went high school. Anyway, I forgot. Anyway, it was Prince Charles Elementary, of all things. Anyway, so now I'm here in Guatemala, and all those things are relevant to why I'm here, and how I have experienced my, first and I'm still always learning. I'm always learning, but I've also got this feeling of, I'm also a teacher, because I shared what I was doing in Ames was, talking to these young people and sharing what I was understanding, and there's, it's an energy exchange. It's a barter system of sorts. That's how this works, I guess, in a different level. Anyway, I don't know if I'm rambling. Maybe I feel like I am. So I'm going to pause this just for a minute and regroup my thoughts, because there's a lot on my mind. Anyway, like I was saying earlier, I was watching Mark Passio, and he just really stimulated this whole um, God, you got to get back out here and talking about what's really important. And yes, we have situations around the world right now that are like absolutely, absolutely ludicrous. When we start to desire to know the truth, to move away um, from what I call willful ignorance, because the information is out here, and it's taken me even a while to like just to know that we are, each and every one of us is responsible for the state of the world right now because of how natural law works. And one of the greatest understandings, knowings that I've gotten in the last while is that everything is a reflection of everything. Like everything is connected, everything is interwoven, everything is interdependent on everything else. And we as individuals are the microcosm, and the macrocosm is natural law. And those are the seven principles. Some people call them the seven hermetic principles, being mentalism, correspondence. I got my paper here. I'm going to look at it. Just the principle of vibration, the principle of polarity, the principle of rhythm, cause and effect, and gender. These are binding principles which are immutable. In other words, there's nothing you can do to change them. Doesn't matter if you believe that they are in operation or not. They don't care about you or your belief in them. They are operating outside of your belief system, or in most cases, most people's actual conscious awareness of them. And it's been my work for the last 10 years, but especially the last 5 years, in understanding natural law and how I operate and how it operates more accurately, outside of myself, outside of what I know. If I stub my toe, it's gonna hurt. There's another reason that happened. There's another law that caused that to happen, and that's what I've been really working on. Yeah, understanding and perceiving and just living it. I'm looking here. I have the Kabbalistic Tree of Life glyph here with many of its correspondences, but there's far more than even the 5 or 6 for each that I have here. Anyway, I'm gonna start. I just want to be talking about this. I'm gonna try to keep these short because I could ramble on for a long time, but I'm gonna work on this, and it gives me something to do, and it's important. It's important to get this out there. There's a lot of people doing that, and that's been my whole thing too. There's so many people doing this. What the hell am I? What a little old me. But you know what? Not everybody's watching everybody else. Maybe if you watch me and something sparks something in you, you'll expand a little further and look into more things, and that's basically what I'm hoping to do. And thank you. And namaste.